The Army Painter is my favorite hobby company in the entire world. My desk is literally full of Army Painter products, and it takes me from being an average painter to putting above tabletop standard models out into the tournament scene. Not only that, but the Army Painter has sponsored more competitive play than any other hobby company in the industry. They allow us to keep doing the things that we do. If you enjoy the Army Painter as much as I do, head over to thearmypainter.com where you can use the discount code ARTOFWAR5 to get a discount on your next order.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another exciting Art of War live stream. We are here today on the day of days for it is a Warhammer Wednesday. It is an update Wednesday.
Yeah, this is a bit new for them. Honestly, they usually release Thursday, but hey, we all subscribed and we got a day early.
Yeah. So we're quite excited because we have the big game-wide Munitorm Field Manual update. As a matter of fact, Richard and Nick already talked about the Munitorm Field Manual update, but they also updated a bunch of other documents. I believe the total count is that there's more than 30 documents that got today as their update date. And so we're going to go tell you what you need to know about quite a lot of them.
That's right. You don't need to know everything in all of them. That's for sure.
And some of them have nothing you need to know. But but if you care about Legends
Warhammer,
and
Legends
Captain Tycho, then you can go look that one up too.
You're like, if I'm playing a competitive Legends game, what price should I pay for these units?
There's an updated Legends MFM.
There's a PDF for you special flower.
Absolutely. So if you're enjoying this video, make sure that you actually like the video. And please leave a comment, subscribe, do all those wonderful buzzwords for YouTube that help us pay rent, eat food, and also keep making Warhammer 40,000 content. In addition to that, if you want even more Warhammer 40k content, we don't blame you. We're also addicted. You can check it out in the Art of War War Room. That's the link in the description below, where you can go to the warroom.vhx.tv. And you can even get a free trial of the War Room. Maybe if you wanted to see some awesome games being played with this Munitorm Field Manual.
Yep. There is a game up right now between two armies changed by the MFM. What was the...
I believe that the first one we uploaded was Chaos Space Marines versus Eldar.
Yes, new Eldar versus new Chaos Space Marines up live in the War Room right now. You can go check it. I mean, wait until the end of the video, please.
Yeah.
But then you can check out the free 3-day trial. Go check that game out. Go check out the other games we'll be releasing over the next couple days.
3 days is fortuitous, for we are releasing 4 games in the next 3 days. For we just released one this morning. We've got one later today on our YouTube channel. And then we have 2 more games coming up in the Worm in the next 2 days. We're doing one tomorrow, one Friday. And so if you want to get a lot of Warhammer, if you want to get caught up on exactly what happened, you want to see 8 different armies competing, that's going to be a great way to do it.
Yep. I mean, we took some time off. It only took getting hit by a hurricane.
Absolutely. And now we're catching up.
Yeah. All right. So let's get right into it. We got the tournament companion with a small but very impactful change.
Yeah, there's a couple little ones, but I think both of our favorite is the same.
Yes, the secret missions. If you take a secret mission, you cannot score victory points on your primary objective on turn 5.
Correct.
And this stops a insanely passive plan out of somebody taking a secret mission if they're going second.
Yeah, and since you can't score a battle round 5, primary that is, it means that if someone takes a secret mission at the end of battle round 3, that means that they only have 1 primary scoring opportunity left at that point.
Yes.
Which means it's a lot harder, not impossible, but it's a lot harder to get to 20 primary, especially if your opponent knows. So the funny thing is, if you go first and you take a secret mission, you say, cool, I take a secret mission. Look down at the table. That's my primary. I'm done with primary for the game.
Yep, you're finished.
That's like you finish within 30 seconds of deciding this.
Yep. And if you are going second, your opponent immediately scrambles because they know that this is the last time you will score primary outside of the secret mission. Yep. The secret mission is just your turn 5 primary now.
Essentially.
Basically. You used to see things like somebody being very non-committal and then walking onto objectives on turn 5, scoring the secret mission and getting a 35 on primary on bottom of 5. Like it's like we were playing 7th edition again.
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't like that very much.
Yeah, I think this is definitely a change for the better. The secret missions are still going to be relevant, I think.
I think so.
And they're definitely more relevant than they were in Leviathan Pack. But it's not as powerful.
Not as powerful. And there's still a cap, so it's not, the what was it, Gambit's stopping you from scoring your primary after turn 3. That was really, really pretty nasty. Now Gambit's also kind of just sucked. So that was a whole nother thing.
You had to roll an 11 plus to get your points.
But if you go into 2 different corners, you get a 10 plus.
That's how you got the 11.
It's no,
because it's 12, 11. Who cares?
Who cares?
Never going to see that again. So I think this is a very good change that's going to tone down secret missions just flipping games at the bottom of turn, because that is something that a lot of people expressed frustration with in the early months of Pariah Nexus.
Yes.
Including both of us.
Yeah.
I hated it. I did not like secret missions.
In teams, it was the worst.
Yeah.
The worst. Yeah, this is an 18-2 game. I am absolutely obliterating them. Oh, 1 unit stepped on 1 objective. Yeah, sorry, it was a 11-9.
Yeah. Secret missions, they're bad. Just didn't see the 35 points of primary at the end of the game.
You gotta see that. You can't have that escape in your grasp.
Absolutely. Before we hit the next change, we have a quick super chat from Thomas Rasmussen. Thank you so much, Thomas, for the donation of Danish krone. And remember to pay rent, eat food, and most important, make more content. We will do all 3 of those things. 2 of them today. I'm going to wait to pay rent until the 1st. We really appreciate your support. It helps us so much. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Love this secret mission change, though. Yeah. Oh, my God.
Very positive change.
We have moved on a lot as a society. Well, not as a society since then, but we're doing our best as a gaming community since the times of 7th edition, where all the points scored at the end.
I really do not miss that.
No, I don't miss it at all, and I did not enjoy secret missions being a little bit of that, and now there's a little bit less of that.
Yeah, there's a couple other small changes in here if you want to scroll down, but they're not crazy. For the cards, nothing is crazy new. They updated the wording on Call the Horde in a way that did not change the actual rule at all. You can't take a 19 man to deny the 20 man being a Call the Horde target.
That was in last time.
I know. They updated the wording. It's the exact same thing though.
Got it.
It's a nothing burger.
Storm hostile objective can be done on turn 1 now.
Yeah, that's nice.
Because it used to be you could redraw it but didn't have to, but then you only scored it from 2nd battle round onward. So you would just get rid of it because you couldn't actually score it.
Yes.
But now it's updated to any battle round you can do Storm hostile.
Yes.
So
you can
that's
do
really good.
Take a hostile back. You cannot turn 1 do your opponent didn't hold objectives.
Right.
Which I think is very reasonable, because if your opponent just didn't deploy on objectives and you, not that this ever was an option, but this was the right way to do it. So I like this change to Storm Hostile, and I like that you still can discard it on turn 1 if you wish to.
Yes.
So good change to Storm Hostile. I think that's great. And then we just saw a couple of changes, and that was to Linchpin. Linchpin is now capped at 15 victory points.
That just felt like an oversight, because I don't think they intended for you to score 23 victory points in 1 turn.
I intended it.
Yeah, no, I've done it, but I don't think they intended that. So this feels like just correcting that oversight. Now it's capped at 15.
Yeah, I think it's for the better. I don't think that there really should be an opportunity to score more than 15 primary in a battle round.
Probably not.
Yeah.
No.
If you want that, take a secret mission and accept the caps that come with it.
No.
And then finally we have old hidden supplies.
This is the same as it was before.
Yeah, I think the only... Oh, is that new? I thought the rolling off to push the objectives was new.
So you don't get a choice most of the time.
Yep.
So if no man's land touches a corner of the battlefield, you have to move the object marker towards that corner. So if they don't, because in Hammer and Anvil, that sort of thing.
So in Hammer and Anvil...
And
Tipping Point.
Yeah.
And Dawn of War. And the other one.
Oh, what's Sweeping Engagement.
Sweeping Engagement. And all 4 of those you now roll off.
Yeah.
Which is actually crazy, because in Tipping Point, if you win the roll off and you just put them towards the deployment zones, that is the freest primary objective in No Man's Land possible.
Yes, it is. Also, depending on the map, you might get, terrain. All objectives behind terrain or no objectives behind terrain, which is very beginning of 9th edition. And I'm not stoked about that.
Agreed.
Having the pregame roll off to determine if you get to hold objectives behind cover or not.
I think what actually matters is just doing a double check and seeing, is there how many of the Pariah Nexus missions actually have hidden supplies and not search and destroy Crucible?
I think there's a hidden supplies hammer.
Yeah, then that will matter a lot.
I think there is, but I could be wrong.
I think though, that this was actually the last of the relevant changes in the document.
I believe so.
I don't know if we want to just do a quick scroll down to see if there was any red.
Oh,
right there.
Yes, there are.
Right, there's the marked for death FAQ.
Yep. If you take mark for death, if you have marked for death, and your opponent marks a unit that has a leader, you have to kill at least one leader in the unit. Not two if there are two of them.
Yeah.
You just got to kill one of them.
It's because theoretically, if you kill a unit and there are two leaders attached, the leaders are specifically stated to become separate units. So you just have to kill one of them to get the finish. But if it's like a rubric squad and one sorcerer, you do have to kill the rubric squad and the sorcerer if that was the mark target.
Yes. You got to kill all of it.
Yeah. I mean, other than that, then it's you can't terraform an objective that's been terraformed. Thank you, but
they clarified when you roll for supply drop.
yeah.
This
time, I think that was the end.
That is it. Yeah, that's
all right.
all.
Actually, can we just go to the mission pool? I just want to see for hidden supplies if any of there is a hammer and anvil hidden supplies.
Yep.
Mission F.
Mission, yeah. I mean, well named.
Yeah, fair enough.
Pay respects.
Okay, good to know.
All right, so we got some super chats. Super Baharath saying, between Marines and Sisters, what's my best bet to beat Thousand Suns list-wise?
I mean, honestly, I feel like Sisters are still in a fairly good spot.
Yeah, just drop the Triumph and keep on trucking.
Yeah, or even keep the Triumph and drop like a piece from the army.
Yeah.
It still kind of fits.
Yeah.
So I think you could go either direction, but I believe that Sisters are still quite strong. And then John McArdell is hitting us with a big super chat. Assume you will when you get to it, but can you provide point of view on the Death Guard sticky FAQ? And do they regain control if they push off opposing units or opposing units lose and moves on? We will make sure that we go real in depth of that when we get there.
We're going to cover that one in a second.
I will have to reread it myself to make sure.
The TLDR is you do not regain control when they leave the objective. You have to take it back.
That is my understanding as well.
Yeah. But we'll go over that in detail.
Yep.
All right. So we got some core rules updates.
Absolutely.
Guide us through that one.
So, and here the new stuff is red. The green highlights are like the last update. There's not nearly as many rules updates this time.
Surge moves.
Oh, surge. Oh, they only highlighted it red. They didn't highlight the whole thing. Yeah, this one's important. So they changed all of the surge moves in the game, which was basically the Khorne Berserker rule to blood surge into combat if you got shot, which was shared by the Unending Swarm detachment for Tyranids, which was shared by the Carnifex. A couple other things had it, ACDCs. And now you can only make one surge move per phase. You can't do it while battle shocked, and you cannot make a surge move while you're in engagement range. Two of those three things were already like actually how it worked, but the limiting to one per phase was not consistent.
No.
And now
most of them were not one per phase.
Yes, and now it's one per phase. I believe Accursed Cultists were not once per phase. I believe the Tyranid Unending Swarm was not once per phase, and I think Berserkers were not one per phase.
Berserkers were not once per phase.
This makes Surge a lot worse.
Surge is significantly worse because of this. Any Surge moves got hammered really bad. Because one of the things was, like, Berserkers, if you shot at them 3 times to try to kill them, they would surge 3 times.
Yep.
And it got out of hand pretty fast. That is no longer the case. Now they D6 one time, and if they don't make combat, you light them up like the 4th of July.
And what it now kind of means is that Surge is mostly, I think, at top end, going to be used as a tool to enforce movement standards on the opponent. Because if you're, going to be trying to shoot a Khorne Berserker squad to death, you're just going to keep everything 7.1 inches away.
Yep. The main beneficiary here is going to be anytime you're trying to hold an objective with this unit.
Yes.
Because you will deny the objective to your opponent. Yeah. So if they go on the objective, you'll surge into them. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you won't. So then if Berserkers are on an objective, they shoot you to death, you stick it, they didn't take it from you.
Yeah.
That's how you're going to want to try and use that there. What's unclear here, I assume that the Death Company Dreadnought surge move also follows these restrictions, but it does not trigger when a model dies in the unit, just when it's shot at. Yeah. I still assume that it follows the standard surge moves.
So it just says when a certain trigger occurs. So that would count.
Fair enough.
Yeah, because the Carnifex one's the same style.
Yeah.
You don't have to lose a model. This is, obviously, this is a massive change to ACDCs. I think that's the
Accursed Cultists, Dark Communes.
That's the single biggest hit here, especially because they also went up in points.
Yeah, those
makes you feel bad that both of those happened.
Yeah, I don't think they needed both. This is the classic double nerf.
Yep.
It's not quite a triple nerf, but it's a classic double nerf.
Yeah. And that's quite painful for them. This also, in my opinion, literally sinks the Unending Storm detachment for Tyranids.
Yeah. Berserkers have some real trouble with this, actually. Like, this hurts. And any surge move really hates this with a passion.
Yeah.
Unless it was already once per
Yeah,
phase.
like the Karn effects one doesn't care.
Yeah, the Death Company Dreadnought one probably is fine.
Yeah.
It went down like 40 points out of the back of the
Oh,
board.
wow, that's nice.
Yeah, it's
that's
180 now.
very important because it was laughably overpriced.
220 before. So
180
gross.
is interesting.
It's interesting. But yeah, so its Blood Surge move is also D6+2, and it's when it's shot at. So, like, it's good enough to keep it safe most of the time.
I mean, if you're within 9 inches of it, you're in theoretical danger.
But a lot of infantry relied on the fact is like, oh, well, are you going to kill Khorne Berserkers in 1 activation? Okay, are you going to kill them in 4 activations, 3 activations? And are you willing to risk that they roll a 6 into a 5 and get into combat with you? Well, now they can't do that.
Yeah.
So I think what's going to happen is Berserkers are going to get murdered really fast. Also, the Master of Executions went up too.
Yeah, pity.
Not ideal. That's kind of a double nerf there as well.
Let's see if we can hit the next one. And not nearly as many changes as last time, luckily. So we can scroll through a lot
All
of
the
these.
pivoting, all the funny.
That was good. I'm glad it's there, but didn't need it again. What are we doing? Oh, they very much clarified things about leaders that we already were playing it as. So it's not actually a real change there.
Yeah, anytime there's a clarification that means that something is done the same way it was done
conventionally.
before, then we're not really going to cover it that much.
Yep, they did clarify that if something dies and comes back, all persisting effects are still there, like judgment tokens or oath, if the timing is appropriate. And then if something is destroyed, does it continue? Let's see, but has not been removed from the battlefield yet, still has its auras and things.
Yeah,
which makes sense. And then they did also clarify the start of phase rules that we had recently. Where if you do something at the start of the phase and that thing is a trigger for another rule, you can still do those rules at the start of phase. So the example used in the best one is if you Doom Bolt at the start of the shooting phase, you could use a rule that triggers when you take a mortal wound.
Yes, because ordinarily it's, in the phase when you take a mortal wound.
Yeah.
And at beginning of phase, Doom Bolt gets around that.
They fixed that for good reason.
They fixed that just for most people, not for Deathwing Knights.
Yeah, if you have a trigger that is when you take a mortal, which is not what the Watchers do, then you could use it. But yes, specifically Watchers will not work there because they don't trigger off of taking mortals.
Yeah, they trigger just off of using them in the phase.
So that's a nice small buff for like having the reactive mortal wound defense stratagems. Like I know like Sisters, I think Blood Angels have one of those, Custodians have one of those.
Yeah.
If you have one of those, it's nice to still be able to use it. They did another change to Blood Surge that I actually kind of like, even though it does not outweigh the problem. And that is that you can move at any distance up to the result when you Blood Surge. You don't have to move the full distance anymore.
Yep, which is nice.
It's surprising.
Because you can roll the die and then see if you get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's nice. But it's also surprising. It's like directly against what the rule said in every case. But I think this is still a better change.
This last one here, this one, I'm not sure what it means. Because it says if your opponent uses the Fire Overwatch stratagem to shoot you, and you then make a surge move, can you then move? And the answer is no, but then if you do it at the start of your move, then yes.
Hold on. So
like they say no, but yes.
No. So it's you can't do it if you get an engagement range with the Blood Surge
if you
move.
get an engagement.
So like you shoot Khorne Berserkers in Overwatch. They make a Blood Surge roll. The Blood Surge roll gets them into engagement range. They cannot keep moving.
That is true. But what they can do is roll the die and see, and move up to that distance.
Exactly.
Right. So they could move 1.1 away from you with the surge,
And then keep making a normal move.
and then keep making their their charge move.
Yeah, or if it was a charge move, yes.
Yes.
Whatever type of move it was, you could keep making it.
Yes.
So that it's certainly interesting enough. And then other than that, I think that was it.
That's it.
These are all things that were exactly what we thought. And I think we're about done with the updates on this one.
Yeah, the rules commentary, it's a pretty long document. I don't think there's a ton of changes.
I think there's I feel like there's one more that I'm forgetting, and I'm just trying to remember what it was. And maybe I'm thinking of a different document because there are several of these. We're going to scroll real fast to make sure we're catching them all. But I expect that after I fill space for 20 more seconds. Oh, there it is. Oh, yeah. So they very slightly clarified ruins in a way that is basically what you've been doing. Basically, if Magnus's wing hangs over a ruin but does not clear the ruin, you can't shoot him.
Yeah. Yeah,
which is exactly what it was before.
That's exactly what it was before. Into and through a ruin. Yeah.
Yep. And so if you overhang a base, if you're not a vehicle, that doesn't matter.
Again, it's not about, like, as with the last update, there's clarifying wording. As with the last update, you can still see his wing around a ruin.
Yeah. Or if the wing is on the other side of the ruin,
You can see that. But
yeah. If a space marine is holding his power sword over a ruin wall, like over like a ruin base, but not onto the other side of it, you're not getting shot.
it's super nice, man. You don't have to worry about like a spear or whatever being accidentally over the terrain. Now you get shot.
Exact same way as before, which is good.
All right. So we got index card changes to the index cards.
So the Autarch received a small change.
The Autarch on foot had his do an extra stratagem replaced with do a stratagem for free once a battle, or -1 CP.
Yep.
Once a battle round.
A fair update.
Yep.
They've gone through and replaced a lot of the useless stratagem buff rules with actual rules, but they've done it differently each time.
Yeah, which is interesting. Wraithguard still can't shoot while in combat, and they clarified how the Incarn is placed in the way that you did it before.
Yep.
You want to go over the guard ones?
They really only changed the orders from the practical how to word it stance. Nothing actively changed. So if you want to zoom in twice, just make it a little bigger. If it's the way you played it. Basically, if you do out of sequence orders and things, it's still going to work.
Oh, so you can't out of sequence order a battle shocked unit, even though the only interaction with battle shock before was that the orders fell off.
Yeah, it's the exact same way it's been played, truthfully. Then you get to a couple of actual changes for guard, and that is that the tank commander has gained squadron.
Yeah, that was seemed like a fairly big oversight for a while.
Yeah,
but now he has lethal hits against monsters and vehicles.
That part
and he
I'm
can
very
order
glad for.
himself very easily.
Yep.
So and he also benefits from overlapping fields.
Yeah, and we're going to see a price increase proportionate with that. I believe he went up 20 points in the MFM. But honestly, would you pay 20 points to get lethal against big stuff and benefit from fields and order yourself? Yeah, I probably would. I think this is net positive for the tank commander.
At least a discussion.
I think it's net positive, and it also is a consistency thing, and so I'm glad that they changed it.
Yes.
I'm glad that he went up for getting it, though. And as much as I play guard, if he had stayed the same, that would have been a little silly.
Yeah. All right.
A couple of clarifications on tank commanders that are exactly how it worked before. The only real clarification here is that if you die to a grenade with a tank commander, you're not going to get to shoot on death. You have to die to an attack.
Yeah, which I guarantee you people are going to be trying to game that. They're going to be trying to get you down to 2 and throw a grenade to finish you.
Absolutely. But it then clarifies that you can use death befitting an officer if you die to a hazardous roll. So you cannot be destroyed by anything other than attack and use shoot on death, but you can do it for hazardous.
Yeah.
Which I guess is because it's a result of an attack asterisk. The same way that you get like hazardous feel no pain sometimes against like, I don't know.
I think they just liked the interaction of trying to hazardous yourself out so you get to shoot.
I like that, so I'm with it.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, if you get doom bolted to death, no, you don't get to shoot on death. If you get like zapped by mortals in any way, you don't get to do that. Yep. It's only if you're targeted by an attack and killed by that attack.
Absolutely. And they also definitely confirmed that Big Guns Never Tire works the way you think it does when you try to shoot on death. And also that ignoring the hit penalty for indirect does not stop you from missing on a 1, 2, or 3 with Scout Sentinels, which is the way that it's worded. So not a huge impact there. And they did actually put a small change in that you cannot stack Khazarkin with Creed to get a triple order Khazarkin squad.
Yep.
That is unfortunate, but also not really something anyone was trying to do, so I don't see it as a significant loss. I did that a couple times and never found it to be actually worth it, so not a huge loss here.
Fair enough.
Then we're right on to some more FAQs. This one is Black Templars. Is this a real FAQ?
No, it's the same as people were playing. Okay. If you put a unit in a vow, you get the second benefit of stratagems that trigger off that vow.
Yep.
It's the same for the Space Wolves one as well. But that is how it was played before. They just clarified.
Cool. And as we scroll on through, they did put a couple of different Demon FAQs in, all of which seem to impact how splitting and horrors and healing works. And basically, you can't heal your pink horrors above starting strength. So like if you split to a 10-man and then you get D3 models back, you can't make an 11-man unit. Because if you like just passed an out of sequence battle shock test or something. You do have to, if you died at your own hazardous, yes, you do get to, use split, which I'm sure will come up at some
They
point.
have hazardous?
I don't
Jeez.
think they naturally have hazardous. I think there's a couple of things that make people hazardous. Sure.
Wow.
It's consistent with the rulings we've been getting that hazardous is like dying to an attack.
Yeah, you're just dying to your own attack.
Yeah, which is funny, but not really relevant. None of these are at all earth-shaking. And we're getting to Typhus's Mortal Wound Bomb is now limited by Lone Op, the same way as Doombolt.
Every other mortal wound like zap ability is now can only target lone ops if you're within 12 inches.
Yep. And while we're on Death Guard, we're going to revisit that super chat from John McCardell because this next FAQ is relevant. Does an objective that has been infected by the Death Guard army via Spread the Sickness, the detachment roll, remain infected if my opponent controls it at the start or end of the turn? Yes, it remains infected, but while your opponent controls it, you do not have Nurgle's Gift. So here's what this means. And this is going to be very consistent. So we're going to explain it once thoroughly now, and then we're going to reference this 3 more times later. If a Death Guard unit infects an objective, it gains 2 things. It gets you control it until the end, until your opponent does, and it gains infection.
Yeah.
These are 2 separate clauses. If your opponent takes it, it is no longer the held until your opponent controls it. That is gone. And it is still infected, but it does not get to use the Nurgle's Gift ability while your opponent holds it. If your opponent loses control of it, you then get back the Nurgle's Gift ability. You don't get back the sticky.
Right.
Which, unfortunately, I actually played that wrong in a coaching match that's coming up later this week. Not Death Guard, with a different army.
Yeah.
Wasn't the most impactful thing, but, I could have done it better.
But yeah, basically, sticky and infection are 2 different things. Death Guard rules trigger off of infection. If you're on an infective objective, their rules get better into you.
Yep.
The objective is infected forever. There's no uninfecting the objective.
Correct.
But the sticky part of the objective, that part can be gotten rid of, and you have to reapply it.
Yes. And then it will lose Nurgle's Gift while the opponent controls it.
The -1 toughness aura.
Exactly.
Yeah, it loses that.
Which also does apply the -1 save, I think, if in
I
theory.
believe so, yeah.
Yeah. Which could matter. So that's going to
Or
be...
-1, who knows? It could be any contagion.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
That I believe is going to be the only the way that it's ruled in, and it's going to come up a couple more times with like Vanguard Ultramarines and things of that nature. And then we are right on to Archons. And so with Drukhari, you only get Vect if it's your Warlord.
Yep.
Great.
You don't get 3 of them.
Yep, that was never the way it worked, and I'm glad they changed it. Let's see.
You only get to roll once if you use the give pain token to 3 different things. You don't get to spend 1 pain token, put on 3 characters, and roll 3 times. It's not how that works.
Yep.
And you can gain a pain token from a Chronos and use it immediately.
Which is nice.
That's a nice change.
I think that's nice.
I didn't even know that was... I thought that was just how it worked.
Yeah, everyone played it that way, but a couple of events ruled it other ways. But now it's gone.
Quentin was excited because he didn't play it that way.
I bet. I see literally no changes to Grey Knights.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no.
Okay.
No changes to their MFM really either.
Yep. Imperial Knights, you see now that if Canis Rex dies, Sir Hector does not complete his action.
Sick. And you gain a judgment token when you kill the Votan unit by killing the last model. Sick.
Yep, cool.
Stormfang Gunship and Stormwolf Gunship gain Imperium, which I suppose they did not have before and nobody noticed for like a year and a half.
That's probably true, yep.
That doesn't surprise me. I've seen those things 1 time in this edition.
I have not. I haven't seen them in the last 2 editions.
It didn't do anything.
Yep. And then we are straight down onto Space Wolves.
Same thing as the Black Templar one. If you put a unit in a saga, then you get the subsequent second half of any strats you use.
And I think that's fair.
Yep. Yeah, that's 100% how it did work and how it should work.
Yeah.
Space Wolves cannot include Apothecary Biologi. That was already how people were playing it, and it's what the app made you do, so you just don't get those. That's fine. I mean, it's not fine. I want the Apothecary Biologist with Fire Discipline, but, whatever, you get what you get.
Yeah. Thousand Suns got 2 FAQs that are exactly how it already worked, so nothing to really note there. And then we see a couple of World Eater changes that I think are all things that are exactly how it worked before.
Yeah, literally none of these change how the army was played in any way. It clarifies that you can do the strat immediately after you kill it, kill a unit.
Just how kind of...
There's 3 rulings that clarify 4 rulings that clarify how a World Eater's Hellbrute uses its shoot when
exactly
targeted
the
or fight
way
when
that
targeted.
a Death Company Dreadnought used to do it, but since that no longer has an FAQ, they put it on this instead.
Yes, it's exactly how you played it. And then you can't oath a dead Angron.
Fair enough.
On speculatively trying to overwatch or shoot him. Angron is too quick for you. He dodges your oath in death. And yes, you can spend 666s on after you kill a unit and use for the Blood God.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right, that's it for that. We've got
Let's hit some super chats before.
Let's do some super chats. So we got Red Rum, €2 super chat saying the gold is fading. Yeah, this was like this update is incredibly barren of Custodes changes.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit in the MFM update, but nice that you get to use your stratagem against Doombolt. Points changes on units you were not currently considering. I'm sure people will try those units a little bit, but nothing inspired.
Yeah, Trajan lost basically all of his rules in the Codex. He should have gone down like 50 points.
Okay, he can't be 90.
From 150? He can be 100. He's just a beat stick.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, units you don't take went down 10 points, and that's
that.
Something, I suppose. We've got Dungeon Idiots with a $5 super chat says, does that overhang rule also count for flying bases like Hammerheads?
No, because vehicles use their hull as well.
Yes.
Yep.
Christian L says, Angron went up 20 points. Woe is me, the world is over. We must end the edition now. My list had a free floating 40 points from the last time we had a balance change, and now it doesn't, and that's fine.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
James Tierney says, when is Jack putting 6 rigs on the table? Wah. Every list I have written so far has 3 kill rigs in it.
So not 6.
Hunter rigs are 135, which is very cheap.
Restraint right now?
Because I don't want to build 3 more. I don't want to build 3 more rigs, man. I built one last night.
Are you a weedy git?
I will tell you, it's just not.
Weedy git is what I just heard. If that's the truth, man, it's
no. It's because I want to take 3 kill rigs and 6 trucks full of dudes.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't do that if you take hunter rigs. You can't. You just can't do it.
Sounds like you could.
You just can't. No, you can't. You cannot. You can't. You cannot. Especially not with dudes in it.
With that mindset.
But yeah, rigs everywhere. I'm rigging out for sure.
Fair enough.
I think kill rigs with Beast Boys and Beast Bosses in them are now incredibly good, and I'm very excited to play them. I will be playing them tomorrow, I believe.
Sounds good. So we're onto the army-specific Codex FAQs. All the index updates already were included in the index cards update. This is just for the codexes. Some codexes got literally no updates, and some got some. So up to it, we've got Codex Space Marines, and they did a lot of small clarifications, and one that I really like. So first up is that you get if you use the flip a dice with Forged in Battle in Firestorm, it is an unmodified 6, which is kind of what I assumed it meant, but good to know. Next is an actual change. Uriel Ventress's Unorthodox Strategist ability is the former you can duplicate a stratagem but don't make it free, which was useless. And so now it's a 12-inch aura of increase the cost of enemy stratagems by 1, so it's the new Vector. So Ventress is now a Vector instead of letting you duplicate a thing. That's actually awesome.
Yeah,
that's unironically
sick.
amazing.
Yeah,
because Ventress
really
was already a good character who you would take in certain Space Marine builds.
He has 2 incredible abilities.
Yes.
One, he makes something, not his unit, something in your army teleport. And on his other half, he is a Vectora and a pretty decent combat. I mean, I hear he kills rhinos.
He can kill a rhino.
Yes.
You'd like to work on the rhino first. Once you're there, you're good.
Once you're there, you are solid.
So yeah, I am quite fond of this change for Ultramarines and for Ventress. I think this is a really, really nice buff for them. Just getting a Vector in is massive value, especially because it's essentially free because you're taking Ventress. So I love that. Big good change. We have a couple of very small updates. All of the lieutenant and equivalents that could join a unit if there's a captain or chapter master, they become a separate unit from the character if it's destroyed. Whoop-de-doo, that's already how it worked.
That's nice for Sword Brethren. Sword Brethren could only be double joined by a Castellan, not a lieutenant.
This is not that. That's coming. This is if you join a lieutenant and a captain together and the unit is destroyed, they become separate units.
No. That yes, but no. You can attach this model to a unit it can lead instead of to one of the above units.
Yeah, so that means that lieutenants of the type can now join something that wasn't on their datasheet, which is the chapter-specific units.
Yes, which is awesome. Yep. For the record, it means I don't have to take Castellans who are like lieutenants, but with -1 attack and no power fist.
Well, I'm sure they got 5 points cheaper.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, see, that's why. If you need those 5 points, I'll sacrifice an attack for 5 points if that's the price I need to pay.
There is no corner of your soul you will not bear for 5 points.
2005, you're right.
That's fair. That's true.
Desolation Squad.
Black Templars need every point they can get now.
Yeah. So I think Desolation Squads used to remain stationary and ignore the indirect penalty.
Now it just gets ignores cover.
Now it gets ignores cover, which is better for the Desolation Squad objectively because ignoring the hit penalty did not matter since you were ballistic skill 3 and you could only hit on a 4+.
Yes.
So that was just objectively useless. However, it is nice for them that they have something instead. I do not believe this changes the math on whether or not you include the unit.
Yes.
But I'm glad that they have gone in and removed abilities that literally had no impact.
Yes.
Because those just feel bad when you just got addition phased out whether or not a rule on your datasheet existed.
Yep. There are several of those still to go.
So I'm glad that they're doing that. We have a couple of clarifications. The sabotaging an objective, which is what you could do in the Ultramarine or in Vanguard with Deadly Prize Stratagem, that works the same way as Death Guard. If your opponent takes it back, they unstick it, turn off the bomb. If you retake it, you turn on the bomb. Do not restick it.
Did they had ignore cover if they stood still before?
Oh, well, then they just lost the ignore indirect part.
Yes.
All right, well, sorry, you're still not taking them.
Desolation Squad's just taking L's out here.
Sure. I mean, that is the... yeah, it could not possibly matter. And other than that, yes, you can use Rites of Battle if you're in reserves. That's how it was played. If a Hellblaster dies to a grenade, you cannot shoot on death. A very minor nerf, not a big one.
Yeah, I mean, that's largely because you weren't seeing Hellblasters that much. Hellblasters getting double doom bolted and not getting to shoot at all is going to be really annoying if that happens.
That will make me feel bad as soon as that happens.
And they did not say that it gets to shoot on death with an overheat. I assume you would.
You can because the datasheet specifically says, note that if you die to a hazardous roll, you may attempt to shoot on death.
Got it.
The datasheet specifically calls it out, so it's a non-issue. That's Space Marines. A couple other codexes got some changes. Tau got at least one semi-notable one.
Yeah, Tau had Pure Tide Engram Neurochip in the Retaliation cadre. And it originally did nothing because it let you double up a strat, which was now forbidden in the game rules. So they swapped it. And it is now when you target the Bears unit with a strat on a 4-up, you gain a CP. That's pretty good.
I like that the 3 different ones that we've seen covered, which was Eldar, Pure Tide Chip, and Ventress, they all got different types of this.
Yeah, this is definitely the worst of the bunch. I would much rather just do a free strat rather than have a 4-up, get a CP back. And I would definitely rather have Vect. But, like, it's still pretty good. It's not actually that great, but in that detachment's very CP hungry. So this is pretty good. Would it have been better if it was free strat? Sure. But honestly, Retaliation Cadre is really goddamn good right now.
Yep.
So, like, it's fine. It's okay. The detachment is very CP hungry, so this is decent if you can find room for it.
Yep. And then it looks like we got several different clarifications to Kroot Hunting Pack. I have been told by Richard that these are all the way that it already worked, and it's just clarifications.
I stopped reading at Kroot Hunting Pack. I'm going to be 100 with you.
And they did make sure that if you put your Crisis Suit on a flying stem, you do not then get a pivot value of 2. You still have a pivot value of 0 because you're a tiny little vehicle. So good for them.
Yay!
That's that. On to the next. Orcs got a couple changes, and I think you are a little more familiar with these than I am.
Yes. So the big ones, really all of these, like pretty much all of them, are that before you got your benefit when the WA was called.
Yes.
So the War Boss would get +4 attacks when the WA was called, which might sound like that makes... that doesn't cause a problem. But it does because when you're in a transport, you're in a little black hole alternate universe dimension where you cannot be affected by rules. So if you're in a transport when the WA is called, you don't get the benefit of any of your things. Like your Mega Knobs don't get their Feel No Pain.
Yeah.
And the War Boss in Mega Armor doesn't get damage 3. And the War Boss on foot does not get +4 attacks if they're in a transport. And orcs are very transport focused.
Yep.
So this would just screw you over left, right, and center.
This is a good update.
This is a great update. Now, all of the abilities that trigger when the WA is called are just active while the WA is active for your army.
Fair enough.
So now if you call the WA while you're in a transport, get out of the transport and charge, you get your +4 attacks. You get your damage 3. You become an aura of 12-inch lethal hits off of Gazgul. You don't miss out on that. Yep. You get, I mean, Zodgrog Gang wasn't in a transport anyway, but that's fine. Mega Knobs don't like randomly just not get their Feel No Pain for the battle round. It was so stupid, man. It was so dumb.
It's
and
a good fix.
They fixed it.
It's a good fix.
Yes.
Yeah, and in some of these cases, the fix wasn't impactful, like Morkanauts and Gorkanauts, but it's just consistent now.
It's
and that's
consistency.
fine. It looks like if the Mega Knobs die, Gazgul loses his Feel No Pain.
Yep. It used to be because it was when the wall was called, you applied the Feel No Pain to the unit. Yeah. It used to be when the unit dies, the character would.
Yeah, I think this is a good fix.
Yeah,
it didn't make sense.
It's a good fix. It was a little janky. You always had to explain to your opponent that, like, no, technically it's different from other rules because
you're not
X,
like other
Y,
rules.
Z.
Sure.
Yeah. I would much rather get my rules even if I'm in a transport than have that one weird janky interaction.
Yep. A couple of FAQs that look like they're just clarifying things that are already how it would be played.
Yep. Basically.
And then, and if you use Bully Boys in the second walk counts, yes, everything counts as the walk being active for those units.
Yep. Those are some big changes for orcs, though. Like, war bosses during your go turn literally have double the number of attacks.
Yeah, if they're getting out of a transport,
which
is
they
important.
Always are. Like, the army is just centered around getting out of trucks and doing things, getting out of transports and doing things.
Fair
and
enough.
You were always in a transport when it was important.
And then you were doing things. Fair enough. All right.
Your opponent is things.
That's orcs. I think we had a couple others that got enough changes to cover. Oh, Necrons. The big one here is that the Silent King now has the Triarch keyword, which is nice. Oh.
Yep, and noble units get the benefit. I'm not sure what the...
maybe Lords and Overlords?
I think it was Overlord unit or something like that. Yeah, but...
That's nice.
Anyway, point being that Silent King is Triarch now, which he should because he is the
Triarch.
The Triarch.
Yeah, when he has the Triarch on his left and right hand.
Yeah, he should have had it, but now he does. So the Obeisance Phalanx, which you never see, might actually exist because you get the Silent King with all his rules and -1 damage, which is sick.
I am curious to see Necron players revisit that attachment to see if there's anything there. I don't know if there's anything there, but
what is there is a 1 CP -1 damage for vehicles.
That part's nice.
Yeah, that part is pretty sick.
Yeah.
We'll see if there's anything else in there that they can make happen.
Yeah, Plasmancers can't zap lone ops. Basically every rule that had that has been hunted down and changed.
Yes. And this is basically how it was being played before.
Cool.
If you stand back up, you get to reroll your dice from warriors, and in Canoptic Court, if there are no objectives in no man's land
or within my opponent's deployment zone,
can you get those areas within your opponent's power within Power Matrix?
So if you
pity
scorched
points.
earth burned the entire center of the table, you could not get Power Matrix.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, if you do that, like,
yeah,
imagine that's how you beat Necrons. You're like, I'm going to burn all 3 objectives so they don't get rerolls anymore.
Chad.
Yeah.
All right, and then I think there's one other that we wanted to cover, and that was Sisters of Battle. And this is mostly... Some of these are actually good clarifications. First is that if you use an immolator to split a unit with a cherub, you just pick which of those 2 halves gets the cherub. Both halves do not get cherubs. This is a nice, small nerf that also makes sense, because it was crazy that 10 Battle Sisters got,
2 cherubs.
2 cherubs if they were 5/5 instead of 10.
Yeah.
It's like you split the cherub in half. I take the left wing, you take the right. It's like a Thanksgiving turkey.
In the standard list, this change, if they drop the Triumph, means they do get 8 fewer Miracle Dice, and 5 of those are 6s. That is...
impactful.
Yeah, it might actually start to cut into how many Miracle Dice they have. I remain skeptical on that, but, it might.
Yeah. And then if you get extra Miracle Dice on dying near a reroll Miracle Dice ability, yes, that counts. You are indeed forced to use your Penitent Host rules on turns 1, 2, and 3. Super unfortunate. I I actively dislike that.
Yeah, I mean, this continues the tradition of if you are overpowered and they have miswritten one of your rules, they will just pretend that's how it was supposed to be done the whole way.
Yeah, I don't like that of the 7 detachments in the game that have here are 3 abilities, you can pick one of the 3. This is the only one that forces you to do it turns 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Like if Gladius had that rule, I just wouldn't play Gladius.
Yeah,
If I
agreed.
could not use Doctrines on turns 4 and 5, I just wouldn't play it.
Agreed, 100%. I think it was pretty clearly a mistake on their part. I don't think they meant to word it like that. But now that Sisters are really good, they're just like, oh, no, we meant that for sure. It was intentional. Intentional, and we're gonna back it up.
A couple changes that don't really matter. If your character gives your unit a vow of atonement, and then you precision out the character, they still have the vow because they got it for the battle round.
Yeah.
That's it.
By the way, that is the exact same scenario that happened with Knights a while back.
Yeah. Where
Knights were reroll a hit roll of 1 or reroll a wound roll of 1.
Yep.
And back when Knights were really good, they were like, no, actually, it definitely was meant to be a hit roll of 1 and not hit like reroll 1s to hit. It definitely was meant to be a hit roll of 1. Back when Knights were pretty good.
Yeah, and I think practically that's the end of it. There were some very small updates in a couple of other codexes that are basically nothing burgers of this works the way that you think it should.
Blood Angels get an extra Inferno pistol
per 3 on Sangard.
Per 3 on Sangard, like whatever.
Yeah.
That's 2 pistols that can disappoint me instead of just
2
1.
Pistols per 6 instead of 1 per 6.
Yeah.
It's just on a 6 man you get 1 extra pistol.
Exactly.
Which it makes perfect sense with the box. Other than that, I don't think any of this was too impactful, and so I think that's about where we can wrap it up. So lots of little changes. The MFM, of course, was the big update. Again, if you want to catch the update on what happened in the Munitorum Field manual, you can check out the YouTube video that we put out just a couple of hours ago. You can check that out. Richard and Nick were on that video. And other than that, we have a lot of content coming out with this new Munitorum Field manual. If you want to see a game with the with all the new points and things, you can actually watch it in the War Room right now, and you could probably finish it up right before. Oh, you know what? We do need to see Chaos Space Marines. I'm sorry.
I don't have.
Basically, they allowed all of the things in the Vastor detachment to affect like vehicles and Vastor.
That's cool.
Which is good because Vastor didn't get rules in the Vastor detachment.
That's very stupid.
That is, and that was a nice change. So Soulforged Warpacks stocks are definitely not down. They're up a little bit by the quantity of Vastor. And hey, since Vastor also went down in the points updates, maybe, just maybe. And you know what?
Vastor's kind of good.
Here's a little sneak preview. Vastor is in the game that is already live in the War Room. So make sure you check it out. That was Nick's Chaos Space Marines against Quentin's Eldar with all the new points and updates on thewarroom.vhx.tv. That's the link down below. You can even get a free trial. And you have time to watch that before we go live again at 1 p.m. Because in about 3 hours, we're going to go live with another game with this new MFM in it. I think you're actually in that one?
I am in that one, playing the Blood Angels.
Very nice.
Into Nick playing them's GSC.
That'll be quite exciting, I expect.
All right. We got a new member of the War Room Gold. We got Justin Hackert. Glad to have you in.
Thank you so much.
And we got Space Wolf Dan, who's a member for 4 months at the War Room Bronze. Says, appreciate the work you guys do listening while I work.
We appreciate you being here with us.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap us up for the rest of today. So we've got that stream at 1 p.m. Eastern time, and that's in about 3 hours. You can check out another game, and we have 2 more games going live in the War Room later this week. So 4 total games this week if you sign up for the War Room. We'll see you all there.